Try this one, Goodsell. Those of you who are new do not understand that the popular LDS critic channels have cancel cultured me. And you might be wondering why you're criticizing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yeah. Yes, I am. But the information you will find is completely different than what LDS critics are circulating over and over and over and over and over again. It's all the same stuff. And so they then have to do interviews of new people who have left the church in order to keep things going. And every new YouTube creator to be an LDS critic merely regurgitates the same information over and over again, because to them it's new and they want to share it with everybody. I understand that, but they're misinformed. They've fallen for the trap that Brigham Young set. And that's where not doing the proper scientific, investigative, forensic research causes problems. As there are certain people who are able to collect everything and lay it out, but not organize it into a conclusion, other than they give their own conclusion that Joseph Smith was a fraud, which was the Brigham Young trap. And so they don't like it that I'm informing them that they've been lied to by Brigham Young, even though they left the church because of the lie that Brigham Young made. And it's frustrating, because ex-Mormons act exactly like they did when they were Mormons to critics. And now that they're a critic, they cancel culture me just like Mormons have cancel cultured me. And it's almost a no-win situation. Brigham Young's plot literally was genius. An evil genius. And so, for an example, the video I did the other day, I informed you that I will not allow purposeful misinformation on my comments. Now, that's not the same as somebody who has been misinformed and thinks he's sharing the truth out of naivety. And so for those commenters, I want to reply and hope that they can correct the misinformation that they've been taught by LDS critics who got misinformed by Brigham Young, passed down through all the prophets of the church. And YouTube, because I'm specifically targeted for their hate crimes against me, they purposely allow the hate comments through and force me to have to report them, whereas the comments that criticize the church that I approve of, they hide from me in my own management section for comments to reply to. And so the same was the case for Adam Holloway. I approved his comment, and they refused to put it into the need to respond to list of comments because they thought that it's not appropriate. It's a hate comment because it criticizes the church. And so, yes, I wanted to reply to Adam Holloway because he has clearly done a lot of listening to videos by LDS critics. I can tell by the way he's parroting and regurgitating their information. Now, if you remember, I did that video the other day also, in which Mormons parrot what the church tells them to believe, say, and do. And thus they become Manchurian candidates for hate crimes. Racism, sexism, bigotry, neglecting the poor, anti-Semitism. And likewise, ex-Mormons fall into that error. But as long as they can focus on their naivety about the misinformation they've received about Joseph Smith, I'm hoping I can pull them out. So it's not just Mormons that I focus on, even though that is who I'm speaking with, technically to. I'm the condescending Jesus. But I'm hoping that ex-Mormons will go, wait a minute, Ex-Molex never covered this. Thinker of Thoughts didn't cover it in this way. Zelf on the Shelf never covered this. And likewise with a certain psychologist who I've told you, psychology is a fraudulent field of study and career, and are purposely brainwashing people to do their will, even though they'll claim that they're trying to help you as they profit off of you. But nonetheless, he's among the worst. And guess who's the most popular? Because he's brainwashed all of you. And ex-Mormons are pissed with me because they've been brainwashed. Just like Mormons are pissed with me because the church has brainwashed them. You see the same pattern that is going on here that I'm having to contend with to try to reach out and save you guys. And so, Adam, I'll read his comment, and then I'll read my comment as I've got to get my laundry out of the dryer in about 30 minutes. So we'll see if I can cut it down. Let's see if I can, let's proceed, shall we? He says, the Book of Mormon teaches that secret combinations are evil, of the devil, and result in the downfall of cultures and even nations. And so, at first I was like, you're preaching to me on my channel? What do these secret combinations do? They make secret oaths and covenants. Yes, if you've not been watching my videos recently, you've missed that I'm quoting from Helaman chapter 6, verse 22. They make secret oaths and covenants with each other not to reveal their works to others. They work in secret to increase their wealth, power, and influence, and to prevent their secret works from being discovered by others. See, I was considering deleting this comment, and then I realized, okay, he's trying to be helpful, and then I was going to just allow it and not comment, and then he put in some misinformation that I recognized from other ex-Mormon popular channels. The LDS Church looks a lot like the secret combinations described in the Book of Mormon. And this is where I recognized he's different than the ex-Mormon channels that he's listening to, because he recognizes the Book of Mormon is true. Sort of. He then contradicts himself here. Secret oaths and covenants made in the LDS temples, including oath of penalty of death if one revealed the temple oaths, covenants, tokens, and signs to others. Early church leaders practicing polygamy in secret while denying its practice publicly. The continued secret practice of polygamy for decades after the church published the 1890 revelation publicly prohibiting the practice of polygamy. The secret organization and purpose of the Council of 50, which crowned Joseph Smith as king of the world and plotted a violent overthrow of the U.S. government. The organization of the Danites and their acts of violence, murders ordered by and carried out on behalf of early LDS church leaders. Efforts to deny and cover up Mormon involvement in the Mountain Meadows Massacre, hiding the 1832 First Vision, and preventing access to it. Early Mormon counterfeiting from 1800 to 1847, secret meetings of the top LDS leaders in 1922. I know where he got that one from. Yep, the Arizona lady that discussed the scientific problems with the Book of Mormon. See, there it was. Scientific problems with the Book of Mormon, yet the Book of Mormon talks about secret combinations. See? Public statements by LDS leaders that the church was not wealthy after it had created more than a dozen shell companies to hide its 120 billion plus rainy day investment fund. Just 120 billion? Because it didn't want members to stop paying tithing, etc. And so you can tell by my facial expressions and tone. Women will especially notice my tone shift. That there are some problems here. Major problems. And lots of missing information. This is what ex-Mormons have turned him into. He's going around spreading misinformation, but he doesn't realize it. He knows that the church isn't true and that they're criminal. I am 100% in agreement, because if he'd watch my videos, he'd know. He's commented before, as I've seen a previous comment that I approved and let go, but didn't comment on, which was in the column for me to reply to. That's how I knew he would commented before. But he is still a fairly new subscriber. And so let's go over my comment rather than rehash it live as recorded. Okay, we're doing good on time. So here was my response. Polygamy wasn't published until 1908. The official declaration. Probably should have put that instead. But I then linked him to the Wikipedia page on the Doctrine and Covenants sections added to LDS edition. Because that's where it says, and we can confirm this because the Joseph Smith Papers has those editions on the website. So we don't have to purchase the books. We can go there for free. And every Mormon and ex-Mormon can learn what the church has been lying to you about. That they are not the true church. That it's not Joseph's church. And so I said, notice Woodruff calls himself president when the United States shut down the church for their criminal operations with the Edmunds-Tucker Act in 1887. Linked them to it. Wikipedia, Edmunds-Tucker Act. So you guys know how to do this. You're able to find all these other ex-Mormon stuff. And especially the younger generation that has no attention span. And yet, their perpetual immigration fund was human trafficking due to the forced payment of tithing and turned polygamy into sex trafficking. They were only pardoned for polygamy. Nothing else. It was repealed in 1978 after the church allowed blacks into the priesthood and temples. The Council of 50 was Brigham Young's secret combination. Government, while Joseph was preoccupied running for president of the United States. Like everything Brigham claimed to his Danites, Joseph approved and was a fellow participant, but swore the Danites to secrecy. Then Brigham would claim openly in the Salt Lake Valley in 1851 that Joseph approved and all must commit the crimes or be punished with death. And since he now had his own land, the Council of 50 was no longer needed. They were going to use it just in case Joseph won, so that they could assassinate him and coup American government. Instead, the Confederates had to step up and do it for the Civil War with the assassination of Lincoln. I don't know if I did that video for you guys or not, but yeah. If you look at the other videos I did, having researched the certain subject matters, identifying the Illuminati having infiltrated the Scottish Rites, and that Heber and Brigham's families were a part of that. Heber was claiming to be a Scottish Rites Mason, though he claimed York Rites. Again, go to his Masonic page in Wikipedia, and he lies, because there's information there that should drop your jaw if they were true. And yet he withholds information. Obvious information is withheld. And it's not a human error. He didn't just forget. This is something you would have known, and the reason why he joined the church, if it were true. But he's lying to us, and so the reason why he joined the church is blatantly obvious for an ulterior motive, and one of evil, and not because he believed in Jesus. The 1838 history, because the 1832 and some of the others that critics are claiming is a first vision, is actually the Nephi appearance, or an angel appearance. Sometimes it's Jesus, but it's not the first vision of Heavenly Father and Jesus to Joseph Smith, and there's a reason why here. Patterned itself as the Book of Mormon apocalyptic literature. Do you know the difference between literal history, fraud perpetuating literal history, and apocalyptic literature? Or sci-fi fiction? See, this is where ex-Mormons go wrong. They realize, oh yeah, this can't be true as literal history, and they then conclude hastily that it's a fraudulent document and that it's evil and blah blah blah. They fell for the trap of Brigham Young, who was the one who turned it into literal history. Not literal history, to encode the warning to us today about the plot to overthrow the government of America. Because he understands the plot to overthrow America. And so I'm correcting his information on that. And I could go into further detail on this, as I've done in my videos. The signs in the heavens from the Bible, and Joseph Smith himself, as I just went over the history as apocalyptic literature for you guys. And do you appreciate it? No. You've cancel cultured me, as you rebel and are allowing yourself to become fascist. And you will not like it, but you know, as much as I try to warn you that you're not going to like it, and you're going to complain when fascism takes over, you won't listen. You rebel and restore the monarchy. I hope he understands, because he does seem to know the Book of Mormon about the kingmen who seek to overthrow the Nephites, do away with the constitution of Mosiah, and establish a monarchy again. Brigham replaced Joseph's Jewish religion with Christianity, Joseph's Jewish Christ with Jesus, and the Jewish Book of Mormon as literal history. Exactly what Emperor Constantine did with the Jews and their apocalyptic literature. Thus why Christians, and especially Christian nationalists, are anti-Semitic, and the church is Christian nationalist.
David Hope, you have
to
a
replace
visitor in
the
the lobby.
Jews.
David Hope, you have a visitor in the lobby.
Brigham prevented the viewing of the 1838 version, which didn't get published until 1880 in John Taylor's Pearl of Great Price, along with the Egyptian work and the revision of the Bible. So you see what Brigham Young did not want? Because Elder Richards came back from the England mission when Brigham Young called for him to come back in around 1850, in the 1850s. Brigham Young had plenty of opportunity to publish it himself. He chose not to. He didn't want anything to do with any of it. That's why never does any president of the church in any solemn assembly or sustaining vote conference session ever claim the title of translator. That's why I do the videos, to emphasize this for you guys. They don't want anything to do with Joseph Smith, and yet they use him for their own malicious purposes. They falsely accuse him and frame him for their malicious intent. And ex-Mormons are not getting this. Let's see. Brigham ordered John D. Lee with Mountain Meadows Massacre, as he was involved in the election fraud of 1838 in Missouri at Adamond, the headquarters of the Danites, as I've been going over with you. When Brigham cooed the church and framed Joseph to go to Liberty Jail, while Brigham took over. Thus why Mike Lee is doing the same thing today as the church illegally endorsed Lee over McMullen. The same patterns they were doing then is what they do now, because this is part of the plot. And so the Scottish Rites, yes, Heber C. Kimball knew it was the Smiths, and he got his Danite converts to come in for the sole purpose of overthrowing it, taking it over, and cooing it, and taking, and turning it into a Christian church for the sole purpose of the latter days. Those who didn't join went south to become Confederates. And then after the Civil War, you've got some who then, the leader of the Confederates, in fact, created the KKK. And then they infiltrated Congress, and is the reason why America was slow to get into World War II against Nazi Germany, because they were their kind of people. But yeah, there's lots of corruption going on, and you need to understand that the symbols of each of these groups reveal their identity and where they came from. Every one of the white supremacist secret combinations that has been seen since the Illuminati can all be traced back to the Illuminati, back to the British. Very frustrating that people don't understand this when they obviously do. Okay, where did we leave off? You do know the Church of Joseph's was organized in 1830? Not 1800? Joseph had nothing to do with counterfeiting. And if by chance you know about the New Israelites, he may or may not, but he does say counterfeiting, so maybe somebody brought it up to him in one of the ex-Mormon critic sites or videos. that Senior was involved with. Senior was involved with. It was Justice Winchell who taught them how to forge metal, not counterfeit. That needs to be changed on Wikipedia. Because our day and time, forging a document is similar to counterfeiting a document. And thus the confusion in Wikipedia is we're putting our modern understanding and imposing it on the past, which is an error. It's an anachronism. So frustrating. Because Wikipedia tries to demand that people submit information correctly and resources or references correctly, and yet with the church it's just, oh my god, are none of the Wikipedia watchdogs even bothering to check with the church's information and say, no, you cannot put an author as the reference. No. If you're gonna talk about Joseph Smith being locked up in jail for glass looking, you need the receipt. There is the photo out there. Put it on the page so that everybody can see the primary source document, not some author. Let's see. And the church has far more sources of income than just tithing, which Ensign Peak Advisors was just the reserve for the total income of tithing, which was $1 trillion. 100 billion being 1/10. This pattern of practice, Nelson confessed, is used for each and every single source of income, which is why Australia's fraud is important, because he does seem to recognize the offshore account thing. The shell companies is important because they revealed the offshore shell companies as part of that pattern of practice. And so he doesn't understand. He's got the information from ex-Mormon critics, but he's not able to put the pieces together to figure out the big picture. And like I said, all this time, when I first found out that Joseph Smith Sr. was the Master Mason of Canandaigua, New York, during the 1826 9/11 William Morgan scandal, and then Heber claims that he was there in Canandaigua? Really? You're not going to mention Joseph Smith Sr., huh? And with the misinformation about Freemasonry, nobody seems to catch on. Even ex-Mormons are not catching on. With William Morgan's Wikipedia page, they only have the Mormon possible association because the church baptized William Morgan for the dead after his wife joined the church. They don't mention Canandaigua, New York. Because Canandaigua, New York was where William Morgan went to write his book, for which he got arrested. Do you not get it? The Book of Mormon comes out after, as William Morgan disappears and is never heard from again. He wasn't murdered, but people were trying to murder him, giving him the threat of death by locking him up so that he can't write the book about the coup of America. And so the Book of Mormon is. That's how I can tell you that the Book of Mormon patterns itself after the Bible to give us the latter days star dates because of the threat. And other sources that are not affiliated with the church whatsoever, like Albert Pike, help to confirm that the church is that same group. And the church likewise confirms Albert Pike. As John Bennett went on to form his own Illuminati group. Where did he get that from? Yeah, the Danites, of whom he was working with in secret, practicing polygamy, and then giving women an abortion elixir, because he was an MD of some sort, a physician. Okay, got 10 minutes, I think, or was it 20 minutes? I'll have to check after I finish the rest of the sentence here. I hope you will keep watching my old videos so that you can learn what the critics you are listening to are getting wrong. They are mad at me because my new information exposes them of perpetuating Brigham's lies and cover-ups of criminal activity. Thus, they cancel cultured me and refuse to learn the truth. A certain psychologist, who's the most popular, cancel cultured me because I do videos warning about him being a psychologist. There's a reason why he's involved in grooming of women while he's married. He is trained, educated, licensed to groom. They're the ones who created the whole grooming process in the first place. So they know, even though it's wrong. You know, the bite me model that Exmo Lex loves to re-emphasize over and over again and did videos of. No, it's wrong. There are some errors in it. Because what psychologists do is present a self-fulfilling prophecy to get their clients to self-fulfill their prophecy. So that the psychologists can go, oh, it wasn't me self-fulfilling it, they did it. So sick and wrong what they do. And that's what John DeLynn is doing. Oops, I said his name. To ex-Mormons coming out of the church. He immediately snatches them up and grooms them into his will to be zombies to perpetuate the lies of Brigham Young. And in so doing, he's doing the church's bidding. Because this is exactly what the church wants. Because when the church comes out and says, ha, all of you guys were wrong, then they'll go, oh, maybe we should go back to the Brighamite church. Maybe they weren't so bad after all. Maybe they do have the right Jesus. Or when they take over the world, you'll be forced to come back. And you'll be forced to say that their Jesus is true. I told you, you do not want fascism. As they cancel is exactly what they were doing when they were Mormons themselves, for which they left because they believed and trusted Brigham's words and accusations of Joseph. So frustrating. So we're at 33 degrees. Minutes. Yep, there's a difference between the 33-degree Masons of Scottish rites and the York rites of the Smiths with the Knights Templar, the Bloodline Holy Grail, and the Egyptian gold plates. See, that's what they are not connecting to with the William Morgan thing, is that they talk about him being a York rites Mason at Canandaigua, but they aren't mentioning the Knights Templar or any of that would be involved in what could possibly be in his book. And what was published under his name by the Batavia Press was only so that he can make up the money that he lost to William Morgan. And thus why the Smiths needed to find someone else to fund the book and publish it. Because they can't go to the Batavian Press. There are people hunting for whoever knows about this to murder them, as they tried to do with William Morgan, threatening his life. The church has been trying to assassinate me, locking me up over and over again, because they don't want me to present the information that was first presented by William Morgan and is now in the Book of Mormon, now by Joseph Smith. That's what they did to Joseph Smith. They kept locking him up to shut him up, to get him out of the way and coup his church. They want me shut up. They got YouTube to shut me up, so that I'm out of the way, so that they can actually go through with this 200-year-old plot. And you do not want them to win. And yet the Constitution is hanging by a thread, still waiting to be decided. They are purposely torturing us with the results of this election, when we all know either scenario will result in bad things for America. And here we are. The third day, Friday, the 9/11th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or the Latin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 666, the number of the beast. Septem, octem, novem, decem. 9. So, I am a personal witness. You guys are witnessing that I'm a personal witness. And still, I can't get ex-Mormons or Mormons to wake up. Awake and arise, because it's Exodus time. The second Exodus. You guys missed the first one. And you're about to miss the second one. So frustrating.